Well, alright guys, just finished up watching Chips and my quick thoughts, and oh boy, this will be an interesting video because many of you, and just many of people in general, really seem to dislike this movie, and I personally thought it was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible either. It was just kind of mediocre. It was pretty much exactly what I figured it would be going into it. A mediocre modern-day comedy, and that's exactly what it was. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was just mediocre. It was just okay, and for the most part, I enjoyed it. Will I ever watch the movie again? I can't see myself ever really thinking to myself, boy, I really want to give Chips another watch. But, I mean, if the wife wanted to check it out or a friend of mine came over and said, hey, let's watch Chips, would I check it out again? Sure. I didn't hate it. Again, I would definitely watch it a second time if need be, but probably just myself wanting to watch it a second time, I don't see that happening. But again, it was okay. I don't think this movie deserves all the horrible flack it gets. Now, with that being said, I'm not some big fan of the original series. I have nothing wrong with it. I've seen many episodes in syndication, but it's not something I grew up with or something I'm a big fan of. I don't currently own any of the seasons on DVD. I would like to someday, but as of right now, I do not. So, again, I'm not some huge fan of the series. I do enjoy it from what I've seen, but again, I'm not some big fan, as opposed to people like, for instance, Chris and Crazy Joe. Both of them, big fans of the original series, especially Joe. He really, really, really likes the series, and I know, for instance, I believe he told me all about how much he hates this movie because of how much he loves the original series. So perhaps if you grew up with it, it seems very different. It is very different. It's completely different than the original series. So perhaps you think maybe it's not representing the original series well or something, I suppose. However, with that being said, there's even a bonus feature on here called Not Your Dad's Chips, and it's all about how Dax Shepard basically just saw this promotional image from Chips and thought, wow, those are two really, badass looking dudes, and maybe there's something more here that we could expand on and make an interesting movie out of. And that was it. The movie isn't really a like a Chips movie per se. It's kind of just an adaptation and kind of a spin-off and another idea sort of Chips. It's more of a movie based around kind of based around the idea of the original series, but something completely different in of itself. So really, it's not really trying to be the original series, at least in my opinion. I don't think you should look at them as the same. You shouldn't watch this movie and think, okay, it's the original. They're trying to make a movie based on the original series or something like that. That's not the case. They're doing something completely different that just kind of has the same name and has similarities because of an idea they got off of a promotional image. That's really it. You could also put this movie in the same realm as, of course, movies like 21 Jump Street and Starsky and Hutch, and I would say it's kind of around there. I wasn't some huge fan of 21 Jump Street. I wasn't a huge fan of Starsky and Hutch. I just thought they were okay movies. I guess if I had to rate them, I would say this is the worst out of all three. I'd say maybe 21 Jump Street, Starsky and Hutch, and then Chips, I guess. I mean, 21 Jump Street was pretty decent. Starsky and Hutch had some really funny moments in it that I actually really enjoyed. And then Chips, was also pretty good for what it is as well, I think. So I would say they're all kind of in the same sort of realm. Maybe one's a little bit better than the other, but for the most part, they're all sort of kind of on the same table, in my opinion anyway. I just thought the movie was, again, kind of mediocre, just like, again, 21 Jump Street and Starsky and Hutch, just mediocre modern-day comedies, and it is what it is. I recommend not going into this movie expecting it to be a movie based on the original series. Do not do that. Go into it seeing it as its own thing. I don't know what more to say about it than that. I just don't think it deserves all the flack it gets. I don't understand all the hate. I do notice that when a movie starts to get a little bit of hate, people do tend to jump on a bandwagon and will just say, oh yeah, that was really bad, and I hate that too. Even though it's not really all that bad of a movie, I notice people doing that, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a bandwagon type thing where it's getting a lot more hate than it really deserves just because people are just kind of jumping on the bandwagon saying, oh yeah, that movie was really horrible. There's much worse movies out there than this, so for all the flack it gets, I think this movie should just be, let it go. Hate other movies. There's a lot worse movies out there to dislike than Chips. So again, I didn't think it was all that bad. I thought it was okay. It's nothing amazing. It's nothing you need to see. I'm not going to be like, yeah, check out Chips. You got to see it. I'm just saying that it is an okay, mediocre, modern-day comedy. If you like those type of things, you're going to enjoy it for what it is. Unless you go into it looking at it as, you know, a Chips movie based on the original series. That is not the case, although Eric Estrada does make a cameo in it, which I thought was pretty cool. But again, don't look at it as a movie based on the original series. Look at it as its own thing, just kind of paying sort of homage to the original series, but at the same time being something completely different and being its own thing. And again, Chips, it was okay, it was alright, it was mediocre. Don't listen to all the hatred if you haven't seen this one yet. Check it out. Give it a chance. You might actually like it. Again, if you like modern day mediocre comedies, you'll probably enjoy this.